Did you see what I just saw? Everything changes right now, folks. Resurrections, evil heroes, the death of the Flash, but not that Flash. We're going to talk about all of it right here on Crisis Aftermath. Come on. Welcome to Crisis Aftermath, man. It's a good thing that this show exists outside of time and space because things are looking pretty bad for our heroes. So much to cover. Where do we even begin? How about introducing the panel, man? Executive producer Mark Guggenheim is with us again. Universally recognized nerd Danny Fernandez is back. And look at this. The baddest of the bad, man, and the baldest of the bald. Lex Luthor himself. John Cryer is here, Captain.
Thank you.
How are you, man?
Thank you. I am very well, very well. And you?
So damn good. I have been enjoying what you've been doing with Luthor. Look, I'll get into it later, but I think it's the best interpretation of Luthor that's ever been done. We'll talk about that in a second.
Okay.
The multiverse is kaput. Superman is dead, and Anti-Monitor's evil plan centered around God's cruelest invention, a treadmill. John, here's a question from Twitter, man. They're asking, Orphan Steph says, what was your favorite scene to shoot?
Well, we shot a huge scene in a quarry, and it hasn't actually played yet, but it is the huge Shadow Demon battle. And we shot it in an actual working quarry. Mm-hmm. So there was actual huge explosions of dynamite going on as we were shooting the thing. So it was pouring rain. There were stunts, crazy stunts,
right.
And we had stunt explosions and real explosions, and with like small avalanches. The thing was, they were pulling out the stops for the crossover. And honestly, when I had done 3 episodes of Supergirl last year, and they told me they were doing Crisis, I said, okay, that might be something I have to do.
So let me ask you, that was something I wanted to know. Were you only going to do Luthor for just that little bit and then never again, and then you heard about this and you were like, I want to still play?
Yeah, well, the idea was that Luthor was only going to do 3 episodes.
Yeah.
And that was the whole point, was they're going to, we were just going to have some fun in this particular universe, and that was going to be it. But obviously, the character caught fire a little bit, and I knew Crisis was coming up, and I really wanted to participate in that.
And now you inherited the mantle, and your take on the character, to me, as a comic book reader, is the closest to the books that I've ever seen, except within the animated series, man. Like, live action, that is Luthor. I remember reading something about you, and I don't know if it was tongue or cheek, but you were like, I gotta make up for like the Superman that I was in, which I assume was like more humor than anything else. But you're a guy that's known for being funny, for playing funny. Was it exciting to be offered like, you know, the ultimate villain?
Yeah. Yes, it was. It was a little odd because the way it came about was very strange. I got a call from an old friend of mine from summer camp who said, I think the producers of Supergirl are trying to get in touch with you. I'm like, what? And then Bill Prady, who is the producer of Big Bang Theory, wrote me an email saying, somebody wants to ask you about playing Max Luthor. I said, wait, what is happening here? And then I got the call, and at first I just thought, why me? In a million years I wouldn't think. But then the second I started really going through the iterations of who this guy is, I was like, oh my God, I want to do this guy. And that I had the history with, obviously working with Gene. That interview was not really a joke. It was that Superman 4 was a very emotional thing for me. Being a part of the Superman universe was really important to me. And unfortunately, that movie, they ran out of money on it. I don't know if you've seen Superman 4, but it is not the most it is not the most polished of the Superman franchise. And I had always been very disappointed in that. I had always felt like, and it was also sort of the end of the Christopher Reeve Superman, and that broke my heart because I loved it as a kid. In 1978 when I saw Superman the movie, I believed a man could fly. Exactly. And so being a part of that was important to me, and that I felt like we let down the legacy of it. And so when the producers of Supergirl told me what they wanted to do with Lex, I was like, oh, because I haven't seen a comics accurate Lex.
You're absolutely right. Did you go to the material? Are you a fan?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I collect Jack Kirby comic art. I go to Comic-Con on purpose and just by myself for fun. I grew up kind of immersed in the Marvel universe and only actually came later to understand all the great stuff that was going on in DC. But a part of my youth, and Crisis itself was a part of my youth because it was so ambitious.
As an 80s kid, I never could have envisioned Ducky as Luthor. But you are absolutely pulling it off. You're nailing it, man.
I also love that everyone tried to get a hold of you. It's like, dude, check your DMs.
I know.
You're right.
Hours 2 and 3 of Crisis were all about the Paragons, man. The search for those 7 extra special do-gooders set this whole adventure in motion. So, Mark, what do the Paragons represent?
Well, you know, they represent different aspects of humanity. You know, hope and love and courage and truth and, you know, but what they really represented for us as writers was we needed a MacGuffin. You know, we needed our heroes to be looking for something. And every year prior to Crisis on Earths, they did an annual crossover between the Justice League of America and the Justice Society of America. And the last one before Crisis, written by Jerry Conway and drawn by George Perez, who drew Crisis, was about the idea that there were these special characters that if you, in the comic, if you remove them from the universe, basically all superheroes would disappear.
Right.
But the idea that there are these special heroes that are out in the multiverse, that was worth appropriating.
And appropriating...
Stealing.
Oh, my, yeah. There we go. Just call it what it is. Fancy writer talk over there. Let's talk about Batwoman, the paragon of courage. Danny, what makes Batwoman courageous in your estimation?
Well, she was not someone that originally even planned to be a vigilante, and she's also fighting alongside people that have superpowers, so that takes a lot of courage to be like, oh, I might be the first one to die here. But she also has tremendous PTSD. She's dealing with discrimination for her sexuality. Like, there's so many things that she is going up against, so many obstacles that she's had, and yet she still is fighting for us for some reason. So that, I mean, that takes a lot of courage.
She stands up against Supergirl. You know, yeah, she's got some kryptonite in her pocket, but like she's got a lot of courage there in that moment.
They do have a nice world's finest dynamic going on with
really
Kara being like, hey, we're friends, and Batwoman being like, I don't know.
I think in the years to come, we will see that the relationship between Kate and Kara is the replacement for the relationship between Barry and Oliver.
Ooh, nice, man. Inside dirt right there. John, Lex Luthor seems to have taken Superman's place as a paragon of truth, thanks to the bookmark of destiny.
Yes.
Let's take another look at how he got there.
We have to go back. We have to go back right now.
Barry, we can't. You're gone.
Something's wrong.
Cal?
Something's wrong.
No. Hey. Come on.
Please. Fix it. Fix it.
Look at this. No.
Oh, I am so happy that worked.
Lex, what did you do?
Well, I held the Book of Destiny, and I saw you 7 paragons due to be stranded at the vanishing point. And I thought Destiny could use a little rewrite. So, what do we do now?
You're in a scene like that. Are you like, get me a costume?
I get some very nice suits.
You do.
They're beautifully tailored. Yeah, you know, it was me and a bunch of capes.
You look like the one guy at the house that everybody's trick-or-treating at.
Yeah, it was fun though. You know, it was, and also a great sort of gut punch part of the show because you know, because that was my holy moment was going, oh no, you know, because Brandon as Superman is just a great Superman.
And it's something they've been teasing the whole time. Like, you're going to see him in the suit, he's back, and then you take him away.
Oh, God, it's yeah, it's like in Aliens when the captain, or rather Alien when the captain dies. You know, it's like, oh, no, things are not going to go well from here.
Anything can happen.
Yeah.
What is it like playing Lex Luthor? How does one approach the character? Because it's, you know, it's, one would be tempted to play him as just a villain, but he doesn't see himself as a villain. He sees himself as a world savior.
Oh, absolutely. He's a bit of a sociopath in this one. They've allowed that that layer to come in, whereas he's been a little more clownish in the films and stuff like that. But even the worst sociopath, you know, Ted Bundy was incredibly charming and worked at a suicide prevention hotline. He saved some lives, you know. So people are complicated, and that's what I'm letting Lex be.
Ted Bundy's like, why are you harshing on me? I saved all these other lives.
Exactly. I only killed
on the average
a couple of hundred.
You know, it's nice whenever one can talk about Bundy and end with it's complicated.
Yes. Well, you know.
Really reduces it down to what it is. I want to thank John Cryer for joining us, man. Excellent job killing Luthor.
Thank you.
Well, not killing, but killing it as Luthor.
Killing it as.
Yeah, we got to be careful what we say around here. People take it seriously, write it down on the internet. We've got so much more in store tonight on Crisis Aftermath, including a visit from the voice of Batman himself, Kevin Conroy, and the world premiere teaser for CW's newest superhero, Stargirl, man. I've read the Book of Destiny, and it says you won't go anywhere. Stay right there. Hey, man, welcome back to Crisis Aftermath. I'm here with Mark Guggenheim, Danny Fernandez, and our next guest is the showrunner of The Flash. It's Eric Wallace. How are you, sir?
Doing great.
Okay, as we saw tonight, Crisis on Infinite Earths deals a lot with fate and destiny. The crisis itself has been teased since the very first episode of The Flash. I remember seeing this headline and being incredibly excited inside, goosebumps, going like, they're talking about Crisis. Like, I know what that is. Like, will they ever do it? What is it like building up to an event that massive?
You think to yourself, okay, we got to honor this really incredible comic book event. So you're putting the season together, and we started at the end last year with Elseworlds, and you're like, does the Flash really have to die? Do we really have to do this? And not only...
Sure, Grant was like, no!
Yeah, and I was the same way. I was like, I'll be out of a job. We can't do that. No, he's got to live. So you've got to come up with a way to honor what we've said with the monitor in 601 saying the Flash must die, but also give it a nice story twist, get us some emotion. So we thought about it for quite a while, and we got to what I hope the audience thinks is a very satisfying conclusion, which is a little bit of the best of both worlds. Grant almost doing it, wanting to, being the hero that we always thought he was going to be, and at the very last second, in comes John Wesley Shipp, and it completes a 30-year arc. And here I am watching this, weeping.
Yes.
Right? I'm
That's
14-year-old
tears rolling.
Eric,
yes,
watching that CBS pilot back in the day, and I'm thinking, wow. This could only happen on a crossover.
You even brought in the score.
Yes.
Like when I heard the old score come in, I was, and you know, John Wesley Shipp has been well served by the Arrowverse for years now, but this is such a grand, glorious moment to see him back in that suit. Because in many ways, like, that show was a trailblazer for like what you guys have been doing for years. Seeing him back in the suit and then dying as the Flash is really, really dope.
And that flashback moment. Oh,
does it get you?
Yes.
It gets you every time.
Oh, man.
I know, and that was my Flash growing up.
Yes.
And to see that come full circle, tears.
We didn't script that originally. That was something we added in the editing room.
So it wasn't in the script?
Wasn't in the script.
So
And
what
mine
happens
was.
in an instance like that? You cut together the show and you're like,
We're
oh,
like,
wait, if we did this.
You know what? We want to see a little bit of his life flashing, no pun intended, before his eyes. You know, we just craved it, and you know, our amazing, you know, post-producer Jeff Garrett, you know, went to the archives and got the footage, and we know we have to change the aspect ratio because that different aspect ratio.
That's right. They were
back
shot
in the
1:3:3 back in the day.
So, but man, it's awesome. It's like one of my favorite moments of that hour.
That's crazy, man. That's a nice touch. As we were just saying, we finally saw Flash meet his fate, but it didn't play out exactly like he expected. So let's take another look.
I couldn't be the hero I am without you guys. Tell Joe and Iris I love him.
We will.
Sorry, kid, but this has to happen.
Barry, what are you doing?
I'm momentarily stealing your speed. If you play this pizza game long enough, you learn some neat tricks.
Wait, why are you doing this?
Nobu said the Flash must die in Crisis. He never said which one.
Come on, you're cruel, man. How do you decide to kill off such a big hero? I mean, look, you killed off the Flash, but not the Flash that everyone's like tuning in to see every
Right.
week. So you got to have your cake and eat it too.
We did, but hopefully we honor the original Flash, you know, from the 90s show. And up until that moment, right before it happens, hopefully the audience is literally saying, there's no way out of this. There's no way out of this. And then the twist comes. And you had these two great performers, two generations, where you had Grant Gustin, who loves John, and John loves Wesley, and or John, I guess he loves himself.
He loves
too, 'cause
himself.
Who
He
doesn't
does.
love the Flash, right?
Of course.
But John loving Grant, and to see them working together, and that was a real emotion that you saw in that scene as they kind of realized, Grant's like, he's passing a real torch to me. This really is the end of him. And then John, he told us, I think afterwards, thank you for giving me this opportunity to close a chapter.
Oh my God, I'm
now,
gonna cry.
Now I'm gonna cry.
That's
just thinking
so
about it. I'm
true. I
crying
never
on the
thought
phone
about
listening.
that. When they ended Flash, it ended unceremoniously, and they didn't like, here's your season finale. So to actually bring closure to his incarnation, come on, that's a gift. That John Wesley Shipp death, that's big time.
We're very lucky.
Absolutely, absolutely true. Now that the Anti-Monitor has won, ostensibly, the multiverse is gone, and everything is nothing. I personally am having trouble staying sane, man. Here to give us the latest multiverse report is Entertainment Weekly's own Chancellor Agard. Chancellor, how you doing, man?
Dealing.
All right, take us there. You got the big board. I got some things here. I can try to help you out.
Well, in the past 2 hours, we went to 8 parallel Earths. First, we started on Earth 18, where Barry, Mia, Constantine, and Sarah tried to resurrect Oliver, kind of turned him into a zombie, and fought a version of Jonah Hex without his iconic scar. Then we went to Earth 167, where we encountered Tom Welling from Smallville, who gave up his powers to chop wood and have kids with Smallville's Erica Durance, the Lois Lane to his Clark.
He still won't wear the S.
No! On Earth 96, Brendan Routh wore the S, specifically in a suit based off of Alex Ross's Kingdom Come design.
Oh, yeah, we were all very tingly about that.
And speaking of Kingdom Come, that comic also gave us the rock-bottom Bruce Wayne wearing the exoskeleton who killed Superman on Earth 99, played by, in my opinion, the best Batman, Kevin Conroy, who voiced him on the animated series and in the video games.
Yes.
Then, on Earth 66, while the name is not so subtle, nor is the man himself, Lucifer, played by Tom Ellis on the Netflix show Lucifer, which is inspired by the DC comic The Sandman. This is his first Arrowverse appearance, as you said earlier. Also making his Arrowverse debut is Black Lightning. So now, the only CW show not involved in a crossover is Nancy Drew. And finally, we learned that Earth 203 is where the women from the 2000s era Birds of Prey show hang out. But none of this matters because the Anti-Monitor destroyed all of this and everything we love and known, including this entire segment. Faster! And there you have it.
There it is. Thanks, Chancellor, man. God, Lord, takes a mind to bring us through all that. Okay.
Nancy Drew was supposed to be a spoiler.
It's so hard to say goodbye to our favorite characters from the Arrowverse. Let's take a minute now to pay tribute to all the people, places, and yes, planets that we've lost along the way. Roll that sad-ass clip.
I made a promise to keep fighting, no matter what.
My world died. My family.
Hadn't even thought of that. Now facing my own mortality. So weird.
I love that.
Yeah, right?
I love that they did dogs and not cats.
I want to thank Eric for joining us, man. When we come back, we're going to be talking to a man who sounds a lot like Batman. And we have the world premiere of the Stargirl teaser. In Brightest Day and Blackest Night, we will see you later tonight. Stick around. Batman, you're watching Crisis Aftermath, the official Crisis on Infinite Earths after show. The Anti-Monitor's evil plan brought an end to the universe and killed everyone we've ever loved. But on the plus side, the Arrowverse finally got to see Bruce Wayne. Although this Bruce Wayne was a bit of a grump. Let's look.
This guy's not a paragon of anything. I was right. We can't trust the Monitor.
What did you do? Clearly what you couldn't.
How is he a threat?
Strange visitor from another planet comes to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. Clark. Clark always said yes to anyone with a badge or a flag. He gave them too much power. My parents taught me a very different lesson. Life only makes sense if you force it to.
Come on, man. Holy crap. I'm so happy to have one of my personal idols here. The one true Batman, ladies and gentlemen, it's Kevin Conroy.
Hey,
How
how's it
are you,
going?
Captain?
How's it going? Good to see you.
It was so, yes, everybody knows.
I am vengeance.
I'm like,
My nipples got hard, man.
I know I'm in the radius of his voice. I can like feel it.
You have spent the better part of the last, what, 25 years or more?
27.
27 years as the voice of the one true Batman. This is the first time you actually got to physically portray him in real media. What was that like?
It's incredible to get that opportunity finally.
Right.
But as old Bruce Wayne, you know, old, sort of angry, bitter Bruce Wayne. So it's a version of him I had never imagined, and I really leapt at the opportunity. I was so happy.
How did it happen? You got a call and they were like, hey man, we got an idea.
Well, it was so wonderful. It was a sort of a mixture of worlds because the person who's responsible for a lot of casting at Warner Brothers now, for on-camera casting, is someone I've known for 40 years I used to do theater in New York, as you know. Yeah. And I know Tom Burke from the old days in New York, and he knew my work from the stage. So he knew me as an on-camera actor and as a stage actor long before any of the voice stuff came along. So when this came up, I think the producers were talking about it, and Tom was there to say, well, you know, I know him from his on-camera work and his stage work. He can handle this. So it was a mixture of worlds. It was wonderful.
Was it that simple? And were you in the room when they were like, what if we got Kevin Conroy to
yeah. We wanted Kate to meet a version of Bruce that was obviously different from the Earth One version of Bruce. And we were talking about, you know, who could play an older Batman, an older Bruce Wayne. And the moment Kevin's name came up in the room, the entire room went insane. I mean, just insane. And we knew we had to do it. And, you know, Tom, actually, I think he was like, I'm actually having dinner with Kevin tomorrow. Like, then he brought it up to him.
We've remained friends for 40 years, so that was just a great, happy coincidence.
There's a lot of things that happen both on these shows and in the crossover that, quite frankly, I believe only happen by dint of destiny.
Really?
You know, and this was absolutely one of those fortuitous moments where it's like, oh, this is meant to be.
When you talk about destiny, though, I mean, my even playing this role, this is the first animated role I ever auditioned for.
Are you kidding?
Never.
Wow.
It was the first audition I went in on for an animated character.
Your performance as Batman is the one that, like, when I read a comic book, I hear your voice. When I think of Batman, when I see a review of something and they talk about Batman says this, I always hear it in your voice. You were so, yes.
The brainwashing worked. I get a young brain and I hold on.
That was absolutely wonderful. Since we have the voice of Batman right here, we knew that we had to milk it. So we asked fans what they'd most like to hear the Dark Knight say. Kevin, you down to read some of this?
I'm down.
Oh, yeah. Here we go, man. Take it away.
Only you can prevent forest fires.
Yes!
Draw me like one of your French girls.
Oh, such a better version of Titanic. I wish both the kids had lived in that version.
Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can I take your order?
Oh, every Nickelodeon kid just lost it.
Oh, no!
Yes.
Jingle bells, Batman smells, Robin laid an egg. The Batmobile lost a wheel and Joker ran away.
Oh, I think we've been all waiting to hear that one.
Hey, Kevin Smith, if I were a real person, you and I would be close friends. I love you, Kevin.
I don't feel like a fan did that.
I haven't snuck that one in myself. I'm literally going to roll a tear, man. Kevin, thank you so much for not only joining us, for being Batman for the last 27 years, man.
Appreciate it.
We got to take a break, but when we come back, we're going to chat with Robert Wuhl about returning to the DC Universe, and we'll look forward to January's finale of Crisis on Infinite Earths, man. We're Paragon, but we're not para-forgotten. Stick around. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Crisis Aftermath, broadcasting from the heart of Los Angeles 69. I'm your host, Kevin Smith. Joining us now, the man who played Alexander Knox in Tim Burton's Batman. It's Robert Wuhl. How are you, sir?
How you doing, buddy?
Such a pleasure, man. We got to see you in the first installment of Crisis on Infinite Earths, but it seems you were nothinged by an antimatter ray.
Yeah, just one line.
Yeah.
Hope it was great fun, though. I have to tell you, I had a blast. They asked me to do it. I didn't think twice. I just said, yeah, go ahead and do it. It's been 30 years.
It's been a minute. And you were there for the laying of the track in 1989 with Tim Burton's Batman.
Right.
That is the model from which most superhero movies are kind of cut at this point. When you guys were there, did you ever imagine one day there'd be a universe of movies with a lot of people in costume? Batman makes sense because they had done the TV show. Did you foresee superheroes like in Legion?
Well, not to this extent. Look, I knew I was part of something special. First of all, going to Pinewood Studios and seeing Tim Burton's Gotham City every day was really cool.
Right.
Because I was not a big fan of the TV series. It was too jokey for me.
Right.
And people were worried. A, it was the most expensive movie ever made up to that point. B, it was much darker than anybody expected it to be. And C, are you old enough to remember the backlash of Michael Keaton?
People were so mad, it broke the internet and there was no internet.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, exactly. I mean, Michael Keaton being announced as Batman.
They were like, Mr. Mom.
Exactly. It was Mr. Mom, or in London, it was Mr. Mum. Yes. And then, of course, you had Jack, which was a whole different kettle of fish, you know.
I remember that movie so well, incredibly well, but I remember the trailer too, and the dry trailer, the first trailer they did, which had almost no score, it was just a series of images, and you have the detective, is there a 6-foot bat in Gotham City line moment? Still resonates with me. When they called you up for Crisis, and they're like, we wanted you to come back, play Alexander Knox, do you even bother going back to look at the movie and be like, what did I do 30, 40 years ago?
Actually, it's funny because I had tuned it in. I was on one of the channels, and I hadn't seen it in about 10, 15 years. And I watched about an hour of it, and yes, it was dark, but it was also fun.
Very much.
The first ones were fun, more so than...
Jack Nicholson brought a lot of fun.
Well, yeah.
Particularly, yeah.
The Prince songs.
The Prince,
so it was fun.
You got to remember, too, like, in terms of 1989, when they did this incarnation of Batman, Batman fans were like, finally, this is the real Batman. He ain't jokey.
That's right.
He's dark. This is dark. Okay. Not only did we get to revisit Tim Burton's Batman, we also got another chance to see Tom Welling as Clark Kent from Smallville. But anyone expecting him to wear the cape was in for a bit of a surprise, including Lex Luthor.
You gave up your powers?
Can't say I've missed these chats.
You were basically a god. You could fly. You could see through walls. You had super strength. You're kidding me.
That is worth more than any superpower.
Hey, Clark, the girls want to show you what they made.
I think it's time for you to... Still stronger.
That's dope, man. Mark, how'd you pick the cameos for this? Because there have been DC movies and shows over history, and you've pulled from a lot of them. How do you do it? How do you figure out?
We just had a list, and we got so lucky. I remember saying to the writers as we were working on this, I said, if we have a list of 100 cool things and we only do 50, then we've still done 50 cool things.
It's just a cool thing, man. It's, once again, fan service.
I love seeing all the different Supermans because I feel like there's so many different ways that you can play him. And he wrongly, I think, gets put in the singular box.
Yeah.
And people think that he's simple, but he's the farthest thing. He's such a complex character.
He's tough to write for. Like, most writers will dismiss it and be like, oh, how do you write for a guy that's got all the powers in the world? But that's kind of the challenge.
Yeah.
In that Smallville moment, was kind of everything, particularly for like old school Smallville fans who were there before there was an Arrowverse. There was a Smallville series that went for what, a decade or 11 years?
Yeah, a decade. And what was so great about Tom's scene in Crisis was it was written by Don and Holly Whitehead, who wrote on the original Smallville.
No.
So they obviously know the characters, and this was an opportunity for us to check back in with Lois and Clark and see what has basically happened over the intervening 10 years.
Oh, it was beautiful, man. It was an excellent touch, as well as including this man. I want to thank Robert Wuhl for joining us. Excellent.
Thank you, man.
Excellent
Thank
meeting
you.
you. Excellent talking to you. Thanks for being involved in this.
My pleasure.
It was another bright moment of my childhood to come back to life, man. It's just delivered. Fan service to the highest degree. When we come back, we've got the exclusive world premiere teaser for CW's newest superhero, Stargirl. Great Caesar's Ghost. It's time for a commercial break. We'll be right back. Hey man, welcome back to Crisis Aftermath, your one-stop shop for all things Crisis on Infinite Earths. I'm Kal-El Smith. Next year will not only be bringing us the resolution to Crisis on Infinite Earths, it'll also be giving us a brand new hero by the name of Stargirl. And here's the creator of Stargirl, Jeff Johns. How are you, sir?
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
Excellent seeing you, man.
You too.
Jeff, you ran DC Comics for years, for those that don't know. You've worked on the movies. Stargirl may not be a household name yet. Tell them who she is and why she's special to you.
Well, she's the first character I ever wrote and in comic books, and created her in my very first comic book. But she is Courtney Whitmore, and she's this teenager whose mom remarries, and they move from LA to Nebraska. And there she discovers that her new stepfather, Pat Dugan, played by Luke Wilson, was a sidekick to a superhero when he was younger. And she finds his partner's old stuff and goes for a joyride and gets involved in the superhero world.
And this character's been close to you for how many years now? You've been working on Stargirl.
20 years.
What was it like to bring it from the two-dimensional page to the three-dimensional screen?
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, she was inspired by my late sister, so it means a lot to me personally to have her come off the page and onto the screen like this, and to work with the crew and the cast that I did. It was amazing.
It's so nice to see you still in the space and working on something that means so damn much to you, man. Danny?
Okay, so when you were looking at casting, what were some of the key things that were important to you that they embodied, the actress embodied the character?
Well, I looked at so many casting tapes and people that came in, and actually Brec Bassinger, who plays Stargirl, she's amazing. Right when I saw her tape, I was like, that's her. That's it.
Really?
Yeah, it was done.
Just with the tape?
Yeah.
Self-tapes work. Okay, good to know.
They do. And
Did it have anything to do with her alliterative superhero name?
Brec Bassinger?
Yeah, I mean, she
well,
sounds
it's a great
like she's
superhero
born
name, but she actually is a superhero to me. She's an amazing actor to work with. She embodies like a heroic nature. She's super nice and incredibly talented. But it was her humor and heart that came through on that tape. And then she came in and read for us live, and it was just confirmed everything that I felt. But it was immediate. It was not. And I had looked at and seen so many people. And obviously, I was going to be very particular about this role. And
so close to you.
Yeah. For Pat Dugan, played by Luke Wilson, I wrote the part for him. I didn't know him, but I wrote when I wrote Pat Dugan, I thought of Luke Wilson, and I wrote him a letter and I said, hey, I wrote this for you, and we met and he loved it. And
you scored him. Look at you, Vision Quest.
Yeah.
Well done, man.
Yeah.
So you've been living with this thing for about how long now? A year you've been working on it?
Yeah, I mean, we've been working on it since over a year now, and it's all done and ready to go, and I'm anxious for people to see it.
I know, and you've seen so much of it. We've seen absolutely nothing, but now, right now, we're going to see the world premiere. First look at CW's Stargirl. Check it out.
Starman, are you there? Starman!
The Justice Society must live on. Someone with honor must carry the torch.
I know this has been difficult. The move and a new stepfather, but we're gonna make a good life.
Hey, sorry, that's just real delicate.
What are you?
It's the cosmic staff. It's extremely temperamental. The staff's not supposed to work for anyone except Starman.
This has to be the reason the staff lit up. The staff chose me, and I choose you.
I never thought there'd be another Starman.
Stargirl.
Stargirl, new series coming spring 2020 on the CW.
You know what, man? I have a child, and I saw that child get born, and that's better than that. That is incredible, man. I can't believe it. Congratulations.
Thanks.
It must feel amazing to see it go from the page up onto a real show.
Very exciting.
You rock, man.
Thanks,
Well
buddy.
done. Check out Stargirl when it drops next year. Thanks, Jeff, for stopping by. You want to get hugged to death by Bebo? Then don't go anywhere. Stick around for more Crisis Aftermath. My Lord, that looks phenomenal. Holy moly, welcome back to Crisis Aftermath. This show's almost over, man, but fear not. There are still 2 more hours of Crisis on Infinite Earths, starting 8 p.m. on January 14th, and I have no idea what's going to happen, man. So to help us look into the future, here's Legends of Tomorrow showrunner Keto Shimizu. How are you, Keto?
I'm doing great. How are
Right
you?
on, man. I'm so good. We're getting to the end of this, but we need your help. So to recap, kids, the multiverse is gone, right? The Anti-Monitor seems to have won. The final installment of Crisis happens during Legends of Tomorrow. What can you tell us about the Legends' role in this Arrowverse epic?
The captain, Sarah Lance, has a huge role to play in the final hour. It's really when she comes into her own as a leader of all of these amazing heroes to really pull everybody together and, you know, honor everything that's happened both in her life and in this crazy crossover and steer everybody into the final confrontation with the Anti-Monitor. It's really epic and really fun.
That's why I love that she was named the Paragon of Destiny, because even in the last episode where she was talking with Oliver and he was trying to apologize and she had like accepted her destiny so much and she was trying to tell him, no, I wouldn't be this if that hadn't happened.
Yeah.
But she also brings that out in other people. Like she has this band of misfits that I think, you know, people don't necessarily had faith in. And she's like allowed them to accept all their flaws as their destiny.
Let's talk about the Legends for a second. This is the show in the Arrowverse that seems to have grown the most and evolved the most from the original incarnation to now. Like, it was always kind of a fun idea, but you guys started leaning into the fun of a comic book universe in a big bad way about what, season 3?
Two, like partway through 2 and then 3 it really we just
found
went
it.
crazy.
Really found it.
Yeah.
So of the shows, they definitely have the more humorous sensibility. How does that blend into Crisis on Infinite Earths?
Honestly, I think the humor that the Legends bring to all the hours is a nice sort of breath of fresh air in a way, because you know there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
There's a lot of plot that's being driven.
There's like 86 cast members.
Exactly. There's like so many people, so many heroes, and there's so many intense emotional conversations happening that it helps to have just that sort of lightness peppered in to sort of bring it up and be like, oh yeah, this is also super crazy fun. And you know, these characters help bring that out of other people as well.
Also, where can we read Rory's romance novel?
Yeah.
Is that out?
That is a missed marketing time.
I don't know. Somebody's fan
There aren't enough
fiction.
Bebos in the store, and this book does not exist in the real world.
Both these things are true.
For the fans, you got to do it for the
I
fans.
know.
This show has a lot of fans, and we have fan questions coming in from the Twitterverse, man. Melly Grace has this question. I am a CW Legends fan, and since Crisis on Infinite Earths is the start of their season, I would like to know what we can expect from the rest of their season. Keto?
Well, it's actually really interesting. We decided that because our season is coming after this incredible, massive event, that we would actually lean into that in our season and let the fallout from what happens in Crisis really affect our season. It affects it emotionally with Sarah going forward in a big way, but also our mythology is directly tied to fallout from the results of the Crisis.
Mark, before we get out of here, as one of the architects of all this, you got information about what's going to happen in 2020. Give us a little something, man, something to hold us over the holidays.
I'll say a lot of, you know, your big questions get answered. I think there's some really great surprises, still some wonderful moments, some wonderful cameos still yet to come, and probably one of the biggest, most epic fights that we've ever done on any of the shows, certainly in any of the crossovers. So you got to check it out January 14th.
I'm going to be there, man. I want to thank you for building a universe that we all get to enjoy. Some of us get to play in. I've played in it from time to time, and I wouldn't have gotten to direct a Flash or a Supergirl had there not been an Arrow, man. So you guys engineered something special that has trickled down, and now it's going to live for all eternity. I have a feeling something big is going to happen to Oliver Queen in a way that we'll carry him with us in our hearts forever and stuff like that. I can't wait to see what happens next year. I don't want to live through these holidays. I just want to go to sleep, wake up. January, what's the date?
January 14th.
14th. That's going to be my Christmas, man. I want to thank my panel, my special guests, and most of all, I want to thank the fans. That's you folks at home, man. This is all for you. As you can hear, a lot of fan service at work here, and there's still lots more to come. Can our Paragon save the multiverse? We're going to find out. We're going to find out all the answers in the final 2 hours of Crisis on Infinite Earths, airing January 14th at 8 p.m. on the CW. Man, I'm Kevin Smith. Thanks for watching Crisis Aftermath with us, everybody. Good night.